I'll never forget the day Emily walked into my office, tears streaming down her face, clutching a crumpled will that had just ripped her world apart. "They called me a worthless spinster in front of the whole family," she sobbed. "My own mother said I didn't deserve a dime because I wasn't married. But watch me turn this nightmare into their worst mistake." That was the hook that pulled me in, the raw pain of a daughter publicly shamed by her blood, all over some outdated family rule about marriage and money. Little did I know Emily's story would explode into a courtroom revenge saga that left her greedy relatives penniless and begging for mercy. Let me take you back to how it all unfolded, from the brutal family dinner that started it to the jaw-dropping twist that sealed their fate. It was a crisp autumn evening in Chicago, the kind where the wind bites at your heels as you head into a fancy downtown restaurant. The Hargrove family had gathered to read the will of old man Richard Hargrove, a self-made real estate tycoon who'd built an empire of apartment buildings and shopping centers worth over $50 million. Richard had 3 daughters. Victoria, the eldest, a polished executive married to a banker with 2 kids. Sophia, the middle one, a socialite hitched to a tech guy and always posting about her perfect life on Instagram. And Emily, the youngest at 28, single, working as a graphic designer, and in their eyes, the family's biggest disappointment. I wasn't there for the reading, I got hired later, but Emily described it like a bad movie scene. The family sat around a long oak table in a private room at the Gold Leaf, chandeliers sparkling overhead, waiters hovering with champagne flutes. Richard's lawyer, a stuffy guy named Mr. Ellis, cleared his throat and started reading. "To my beloved wife, Margaret, I leave the family home and $5 million in cash." Margaret, Emily's mom, nodded smugly, her diamond necklace glinting. Then came the daughters. Victoria got a chunk of the business, $20 million in stocks and a board seat. Sophia inherited the vacation properties in Florida, another $15 million. And Emily? "To my daughter Emily Hargrove, I leave $10,000 for her education, with the condition that she marries within 1 year of my passing, or the sum reverts to her sisters." The room went dead silent. Emily's jaw dropped. She'd been close to her dad, helping him with designs for his buildings during summers. But there it was in black and white, her dad's final jab, tying her inheritance to marriage. Margaret broke the silence with a laugh that cut like glass. "Well, Emily, looks like Dad finally saw sense. You've been wasting your life chasing pencils and screens instead of a husband. No ring, no money. That's fair." Victoria chimed in, smirking. "Come on, sis, it's not like you've been trying. Remember Aunt Clara's wedding last year? You showed up alone and spent the night sketching in the corner. Pathetic." Sophia leaned over, whispering loud enough for everyone to hear, "Maybe if you stopped being so picky, you wouldn't be the family joke. Now we get to split your share. Cheers to that." The humiliation burned. Emily felt every eye on her, the cousins snickering, uncles shifting uncomfortably, even the waiter pausing with a tray of desserts. She stood up, chair scraping loud against the floor, and stormed out without a word. "I was shaking," she told me later. "They treated me like trash, like I was nothing because I didn't have a man on my arm. Dad's will wasn't just unfair, it was a public execution of my dignity." That night, alone in her tiny apartment, Emily scrolled through her dad's old emails, finding hints he'd been pressured by Margaret and the others to add that clause. He'd wanted to give her more, a full 20% of the estate, but they'd worn him down in his final months, saying she'd squander it on her hobbies. The next morning, Emily showed up at my door. "I'm Tom Riley, a family law attorney with 15 years under my belt, specializing in wills, estates, and the messy fights that come with them. My office is in a quiet loop building, walls lined with case files and a coffee pot that's always brewing." She sat across from me, eyes red but fierce. "Mr. Riley, I want to fight this. It's not just about the money. It's about them thinking they can humiliate me and get away with it." I reviewed the will. On the surface, it was ironclad. Richard had added the marriage clause 6 months before his heart attack, notarized and witnessed. But Emily had a point. Illinois law frowns on conditions that discriminate based on marital status, especially if they smack of undue influence. Plus, there were red flags. Richard's health had been failing, and Margaret had power of attorney. We started digging. I subpoenaed medical records, emails, even bank statements. Turns out Victoria and Sophia had been cozying up to their dad, pushing him to protect the family legacy from Emily's irresponsible ways. Margaret had orchestrated family meetings where they'd badmouth Emily behind her back. One email from Victoria read, "Dad, Emily's single life is an embarrassment. If she gets equal shares, she'll blow it on art supplies while we build on your empire." It was ugly, but not quite enough to prove coercion. Emily needed more than that. She needed leverage. Months dragged on. Emily threw herself into work, designing logos for small businesses, but the stress ate at her. She stopped going to family events, ignoring calls from her mom dripping with fake concern. "Just find a nice boy, honey," Margaret would say. "It's not too late." Emily laughed it off, but inside it stung. Then, out of nowhere, she met Alex Thorne. It was at a charity gala for urban artists. Emily had donated a design piece. Alex was there, the 32-year-old heir to Thorne Industries, a billion-dollar logistics company his grandfather founded. Tall, dark-haired, with a quiet confidence, he spotted Emily across the room, sketching on a napkin. "What's that?" he asked, sliding into the seat beside her. She showed him a quick doodle of the city skyline. He smiled. "You see beauty where others see concrete. I like that." They hit it off. Alex wasn't like the stuffy rich guys Emily knew. He'd grown up watching his own family tear itself apart over money after his parents' divorce. He was single, focused on expanding the company into green tech, and genuinely interested in her world. Dates turned into weekends away, hikes in the suburbs, late-night talks about dreams. Emily opened up about the will, the humiliation. Alex listened, then said, "Family can be the cruelest opponents, but you're stronger than they know." 3 months in, Emily discovered she was pregnant. It wasn't planned, but it felt right. Alex proposed on a rainy afternoon in Millennium Park, down on one knee with a simple ring. "Marry me not for money or status, but because I want to build a life with you and our kid." News spread like wildfire. Emily called me first, excited but cautious. "Tom, I'm getting married. And pregnant. Does this fix the will?" Technically, yes, the marriage clause was satisfied. But we held off announcing to her family. Let them stew. Instead, Emily and Alex eloped quietly in a small ceremony at City Hall, just them, a witness, and a photographer. She wore a simple white dress. He looked sharp in a suit. They honeymooned in a cabin up north, planning their future. Baby on the way, Alex's support meant Emily could quit freelancing and start her own design studio. Life was looking up, but the real game changer came when we dug deeper into the estate. During discovery for the lawsuit, I'd filed to contest the unequal distribution on grounds of gender bias and undue influence. My paralegal uncovered something explosive. Richard hadn't just been pressured, there was fraud. Victoria, in her executive role at Hargrove Properties, had been siphoning funds. Small at first, fake invoices for renovations that never happened, but it added up to $2 million over 2 years. She'd covered it by inflating vendor payments, pocketing the difference. Sophia knew and helped, using her vacation properties as collateral for loans that went straight to Victoria's accounts. Margaret turned a blind eye, even signing off on some docs. How did we find it? A whistleblower tip from an old accountant Richard trusted, who'd been fired suspiciously. Emails, bank transfers, falsified ledgers. It was all there. Emily was stunned. They stole from Dad while he was alive, and now they want my share too. Alex stepped up big time. His company's forensic accountants verified everything, free of charge. "This isn't just family drama," he said. "It's crime. Let's nail them." We amended the lawsuit, not just contesting the will, but adding claims of embezzlement, breach of fiduciary duty, and fraud. The courtroom showdown was set for the Cook County Courthouse, a stately building with marble halls echoing every footstep. Opening day, the gallery was packed, reporters sniffing a juicy inheritance battle, family friends whispering. Margaret arrived in pearls and a fur coat, Victoria and Sophia flanking her like bodyguards, all smug smiles. Emily walked in last, hand in Alex's, her baby bump just starting to show under a fitted blazer. Gasps rippled through the room. "Is that Thorne?" someone muttered. Alex Thorne, the billionaire bachelor, now her husband? The sisters' faces drained of color. I stood before Judge Harlan, a no-nonsense veteran with a reputation for cutting through BS. "Your Honor, this isn't about a daughter's marital status. It's about a family preying on their own. The will's condition was coerced, and worse, the defendant stole from the estate." I laid out the evidence. Timelines of Richard's declining health, witness statements from nurses who saw Margaret badgering him, and the damning financial trail. Victoria took the stand first, cool as ice. It was all above board. Dad wanted us to thrive. But under cross, she cracked. I showed the jury an email chain where she instructed Sophia, "Move the funds quick." Emily's sniffing around. Sweat beaded on her forehead. Sophia fared worse, crumbling into tears. We did it for the family. Emily was always the outsider. The jury didn't buy it. Then Margaret, the matriarch, testified. She ranted about Emily's failures, calling her ungrateful. But when I asked about the power of attorney, she slipped. Richard was confused in the end. I made decisions for him. Boom, admission of undue influence. The courtroom buzzed. Emily's turn was the emotional peak. She took the stand, voice steady. "I love my dad. He taught me to create, not conform. That dinner, they laughed at me, called me worthless. But I found my own path." She placed a hand on her belly. "And now, with Alex and our child, I'm building something real. They can't steal that." The jury ate it up, tears in the front row. Closing arguments sealed it. The prosecution rested. We'd flipped the script from poor spinster to avenging mother-to-be. Verdict came after 2 days. The marriage clause voided for discrimination. Emily got her full 20%, $10 million, plus punitive damages from the fraud. Victoria and Sophia, convicted on embezzlement charges, facing prison time and ordered to repay $3 million each. Margaret lost the house for her role in the cover-up. The humiliation, public and total. Front page headline screamed, "Billionaire heir weds shunned daughter, exposes family theft." The sisters, once queens of high society, now dodging paparazzi and bankruptcy. Emily and Alex moved to a lakeside home, welcoming baby Lily 6 months later. She launched her design firm, partnering with Thorne Industries on eco-friendly projects. Last I heard, the sisters were scraping by in small apartments, sending apology letters Emily never opened. "Vengeance isn't about hate," Emily told me at our final meeting. "It's about justice. They underestimated me, and it cost them everything." That case changed how I see family ties. They're fragile as paper, but with the right fight, you can rewrite the story. Emily did. And man, what a turnaround.